Well, team, we almost did it. We almost did it, at least today. 418.31. Is that what I see? That's an impressive high there. I talked about 420. Didn't think it would be like a couple of days later, 420. But what are you seeing, Joel? Let's get into the action. Let's take a look at the future. And of course, I also want to take a look at crude. We'll talk a little bit about oil, but what do you see out there, Joel?
Oh boy. Well, a good old day up 48 handles at 41.80. We're going to get a new closing high for the move by a real nice margin here. The 41.80 that I talked about earlier this morning, that was your December 13th high. We kind of blew by that. We had made a morning low just below that at 41.76 and bopped around a little bit, but then caught that final bid. And we ended up getting up to that September high. That September high was 42.06. The Bulls pushed it to 42.0850. And what's so interesting about this chart here is just look what the market has done. And I'll throw out that August high, but look what happened when we got up there in September. Look what happened when we got up there in December. But is it different? Is it a different story this time? Are we gonna first we gotta put it this way. For me to get super bullish for another major leg higher, we just got to hold in here. I'd say even like 41.50, 40, today's intraday low. Then you build a little base. Then you make the push through 4,200. Then you make the push for 42.50. But just going on, the historical references here. Man, if you have been sitting on some dogs, you've been sitting on some losers. This 4,200 area looks tasty. And then what do you got after the close? You got Amazon, you got Alphabet, you have Apple. I mean, Mitch, are all three of those? Are they all three going to hit? Are all three of those going to beat?
What are the odds? But to tell you the truth, it might not even have to
Matter,
beat.
right?
It might not have to beat though, Joel. Some of these missed on EPS, like Meta. Look at that Meta chart.
Ha ha ha! All right,
Who,
let me.
who cares if you miss right now?
Maybe you should miss. All right, let me run down the rest of the commodity futures, and then we'll get into some of these individual issues that had earnings. We'll
It's
look at what
incredible.
has earnings after the close. The buck climbed back up 56 cents at 101.60. Bonds, what are bonds doing? They're up a couple ticks, trying to make that 132 support instead of resistance. You have crude been down 4 out of 5 days, down 61 cents to 75.80. Gold $50 off its high, down 15.30 at 1927 and a half. Silver futures, they're down 9 cents at 23.52. Bitcoin getting a close here, trying to get over 24. We did intraday, but now we're only up $195, 23,950 in your March Bitcoin futures.
Oh man, and in the chat, Captain Kirk over here talking about he's looking at Yang. Yang is the leverage short for China. I was talking about on stock market movers. A little part of me is thinking, China led the way up. Will China lead the way down? So I'm fighting myself right now not to short Baba. It looks interesting right now, like especially it's rejecting 110s today multiple times. You look at the prior 3 days, bunch of levels there around the 110 that you went down to. Now you're holding it as resistance. On the daily, that looks like support below. I don't know. It looks interesting. It could cut through here, coming back towards
it's
100.
one of those things where you come in, it's either up 5 or down 5,
Yeah, it feels very binary. That's why I'm holding myself, especially with the earnings that are coming. Let's just be honest. It's going to change everything up. It could even change up this chart. Even if those have a good day, well, I can walk in tomorrow. We could be right back up there. So
yeah, I mean,
it's hard.
the pattern, it's just been ripping. So, you're trying to call it, calling the top here. You crossed over of a big level, like a 4,100, like I said, 4,200 psychological. You pull back, but unless we can get a double top in here and maybe a little bit of a consolidation and the break through the lower end of the range. I mean, you still just got to go with the flow and
Yeah.
just another impressive day in the market. But let's get to some individual issues
Let's
that
do
had
it.
their earnings today, after the close, tomorrow. We got a lot to cover.
All right, we're going to run through them a little bit quickly here. I'm sure a lot of these will be similar, but roll up the sleeves. Let's get it, team. Hit those likes. First up, we've already kind of peeked at it. Let's just look at the chart of the meta. The meta.
But and they missed on EPS, right?
Missed on EPS there. Okay. Missed on EPS. Sales beat. Big thing was the $40 billion increase buyback. That definitely helped.
Okay, well, here, I'll give you guys a little bit of a clue. First of all, I took out the pre-market high. So, if I was saying 184 resistance, well, shame on me. I took out the pre-market high and just kept on going. Didn't quite get to that magical $200 level. Very hard to catch. Let's see, what was this former high? Come on, data window. I don't think it got there. That was at the 200. This is what I'll say. This is what I'll say about the meta report. Okay? Let's pull up CVX. Okay? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but they did pull the trick. Okay, let's buy back stock. Let's give out earnings the next day. So I don't know. We'll see. 197.16 was the high. That's it's pulled back $8-9 from there. We'll see where that closing price is today. But boy, man, I mean, this is just such a huge move. If you talk about selling your peanuts when the circus is in town, well, Ringling, Barnum, and Bailey, it's a 3-ring circus. It's here. But we'll keep an eye. I mean, this is perhaps first day of a 2-day move at that one. Anything in the 190 handle looking juicy to me.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about another 190 handle, Tesla. I was thinking about it when I went to lunch at 2 p.m. I was like, 195 seems to hold here. I clearly have on my chart around 199.20s. You look to the left, you see some resistance there. I was thinking 200 could be that level. Man, it would have been already a nice little drop already. Is this the turnaround on the Tesla Dragon?
Tesla turnaround, nice move, getting the boost, just the overall boost like we got to buy today. Let's see, way off the low of the day of 82.61. I'll make my bogey one. Instead of trying to sell on strength, on weakness, and I'm just looking at yesterday's low. Or excuse me, today's low 82.61. That kind of coincides with that close on Thursday or Wednesday at 81.41. So below 182, I think you get a little bit downside. Your 2-day low, yesterday's low 69.93. So that's what I'm looking at in Tesla. 196.75. I don't think you had any daily highs there, did you? No, 191. Oh, you did have one. I doubt if I gave it to you. 196.25. That was your December 2nd high. So if you're leaning on your daily highs, that helped you a little bit out in Tesla. But that's nice move. But you get blowout earnings from these from this mega cap tech, and they'll take this over 200.
You know what goes to show us that, I don't really know if the earnings will tell us much. I mean, just look again. Look at Honeywell, the honey pot. Look at that earnings today. It just came right back up. EPS beat. They missed on sales, and that's what hit them there. Outlook really wasn't that bad, but there you go. You see it right back up there.
Yeah, did you?
Pre-market action down.
Yeah.
Right back up through.
Wow, what a march here. I'm looking at this one. What jumps out to me? Today's action obviously is important, but like this 210 area, I think you got room up to 210 if the rally continues. I see some highs, pair of highs at 208.50. So you're getting a bunch of, I'll give you that zone, 208.50 to 210. If it can punch through there, why not go up to the next double top? Or actually, that's a triple top. So it looks like you just have patient sellers here and that just waiting to get their offers lifted. This was one of them that did make a pullback. S&P's just fallen out of the 4180 handle. That was the former December high. I'm sure if any imbalances are being disseminated yet, but that's what
I
we're
saw
looking at.
buy ones. I saw
Yeah.
637 million buy. EKS always coming in and helping us out.
EKS. Okay.
Look, before we get too far away from Honeywell, look at that XLI chart. I know Dennis don't like these, but I don't know. That chart looks pretty strong to me.
Mitch looking at those charts, looking at the top, looking at strong, looking at the breakout, and we're looking at resistance. Boom, pair of highs, 303, 33, 103, 33, 103, 99. And there it is. You also got some monthly resistance here. That's 103.51. So that's your bogey. You get into that 104 handle. I think it's another breakout of the upside. For me, it's still resistance.
Well, just to point towards it, Joel, did you see the FDX closing that gap? Oh my God.
It did.
Finally, it's there. We were talking about
It
it. Look at the last
did.
3 days. UPS, I said, could get it started with their earnings. They had earnings. Boom, look at UPS. That's why we stay with this move, right? That's why we try to talk about relationships, because it gets industries moving, especially when you're having the market doing like it's going. Look at those last 3 days for FDX.
Look at that. But now you got a gap on the downside.
Yeah, now it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, I predict it will take a lot less time to fill that gap than it did to fill the September gap. But there you go, man. Boy, nice move in that off the UPS. UPS, I believe, had their earnings yesterday, right? What do I got? I did YPS. I got the yips here. Yeah, 2-day move in that. Working its back up through former areas of resistance. I mean, if you were waiting to get your money back since September 14th when you made a high at 193.36, you had to wait only till today because it went to 193.71, backing off here. So, man, a couple days. Let's see. Maybe get a little pause here, right? Not necessarily a big breakdown or bust out, but develop some support. Let's say 187, 188 area. Then you got a little bit less to run to take it out. But nice run and UPS filling that gap, that long gap in FedEx. Harley.
Let's take a look at the hog. The hog. There we go. You guys are seeing the hog take off here. Even recreational vehicles are taking off. That's when we know we're going to it. And just to highlight, we don't got to really look at it, but I also saw Winnebago taking off today. WGO. So I mean, it was off in the recreational vehicles today.
Look at old Winnebago. Oh, no, I got Eldorado Gold. What's going on with me? Let's look at Winnebago. Look at that move. People, wow, they're buying their Winnebagos. They like the cheaper gas.
Buying the Harleys.
Buying the hog, rum. Let's see here. I'll just alert our traders, investors that this is a very nice move in Harley Davidson, formerly HDI. But what I'm noticing here is a monthly high going back in May. It looks like May or June of 2021 at the $52 area. 52 was also an air. No, that spiked to 56.50 that month. 4-star at 52. If you're looking for another leg higher, yet another leg higher in Harley Davidson. Let's see, take out the low of the day here. You got a gap fill. But so far, so good for Harley Day. People are still money, man. They're buying there are cars. They're buying their
They're even
bikes.
buying boats, man. Malibu ripping. I don't think
What's this?
anybody's buying boats, but MBUU, Malibu boats,
That's what's
even
going on.
taking a little bit of a rip up. This is just telling me, man, this is exuberance. Like, who's buying boats right now? Let's just be honest.
Are you a boat guy?
I would love to have a boat, Joel, but I'm not going to pay a boat at 10% interest rate.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a fun time to me. But hey, that's just how it is, man.
Well,
That's
for
how it
this
is.
MBUU Malibu boats, 68. I mean, if you want to hold out for just a really juicy target, going back to the end of October, multiple highs at the $68 area. That's still a couple bucks away. That's a big old 3-day move. Going nicely with the market. Nothing at the current area that it's at, but if you're looking for a target, another target on the upside, target that $68 area. And you know what? Boats are just a lot of work, and also, I mean, as much as I like the water and swimming and everything, man, when I'm out on it, I don't know. There's no lanes, they're dangerous, right? To me, but yeah,
Dunk a day knows the deal. You find a friend that has a boat.
Exactly.
You let him clean it. You go on the boat, you let him clean it. You say, "God, goodbye, my friend."
Hammer saw picking up on my country music affiliation. That is Chris Jansen's song, which is pretty good. But anyways, S&Ps are just bouncing around here. Really trying to find a direction here in the final stanza here, the final 13 minutes. But let's get what. So wow, should we even try and do? Um, are there electric boats, by the way?
Electric boats, I think they exist, but I don't know how common and practical they are.
You'd have to have a really long extension cord on those things, huh? All right. So you want to do some earnings previews after the
Yeah.
close? Okay.
Yeah, I can bring that up. I'll bring up my Benzinga Pro for that. That's nice and easy with Benzinga Pro. I got my things pretty much set up on Benzinga. Like always, I recommend you guys work your tabs on Benzinga Pro so that you can have all this kind of ready to go, right? Like I have intraday scanners, I have like just
Nice.
charts. You got to have a nice tabs, right? Easy and ready to go. So we just go to the calendar. We're going to go to the earnings. We'll go today, of course, make sure it's on today. Boom, we're good on today. And what I like to do to make it less confusing, because it's going to show both time frames, take off before, because that doesn't matter. We're just looking at after.
There you go.
And then we want to filter with importance, right? Because it's just too many earnings reports. Take out the zeros, take out the ones, take out the twos, take out the threes. Let's leave it to the fours and the fives. The big boys coming tonight. We get X, of course, U.S. Steel. Estimated EPS, 63 cents. Estimated revenue, $3.94 billion. We'll see what happens there. Ford going to show up. We'll see what happens in Ford, right? We heard what GM did, right? That they stepped up to the plate. That didn't look too bad. EPS, 62 cents there for Ford. Estimated revenue, $40.37 billion. Then we get to Amazon and some of the bigger boys, right? We get to Amazon, estimated EPS at 17 cents. Estimated revenue at $145.45 billion. Yes, I said that, 145. Holy moly, does Amazon make money. But Gilead also coming in. EPS $1.49. Estimated revenue 6.64. So we'll see what happens there. Google will be reporting also a 1.2 on their EPS, 75.62 billion on there. Let's take a look at some of these charts to see how they're looking, especially like two that just passed the 100s. We've been talking about levels that are very similar. Let's take a look at, of course, Google, and we can take a look at Amazon's charts. What do you see on the charts?
The Goog. I go with the Goog without the L just because I'm just an old-fashioned kind of guy.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know why, Joel. I do the same.
So they got this up on the Facebook earnings, right? I mean, basically that's it. Like no major upgrade, just it's sympathy play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just sympathy, and it's just overall, it's not looked bad upon when Microsoft wasn't that bad, right? I think Microsoft could have dragged it lower if it would have kept going lower, but it didn't. And then so with Metas, it just brought it right back.
I'll let you guys. Triple D has some portfolio updates. I'll let him give those to you tomorrow. I did give him permission to sell the Rivian. I mean, it's more not so much the Rivian chart. I just don't know what these big three have up their sleeve here. And boy, 660 million to buy. I'm not bearish, but I'm certainly not as bull. Let's see. Give me something to lean on. Maybe give me a double top. But right now, when I try and look at the markets and I try and cover the technicals, the price action over the last couple days, yeah, how could you, there's really nothing there unless you're saying, okay, 42,850, we hit that, we hit it hard. There was another high at 4206. We crossed into a 4200 handle. But boy, oh boy, I mean, it's hard. Uh, um, it's hard to pick a top here. For Google, I mean, I'll give you some resistance here with man, I don't even know. I was just so hesitant to give you resistance after after that meta report. Uh I'll give you support. And if they slam it, it could easily fill the gap down to 102.19. So 102, I'll give you that 1.5 star support. And then on the upside, after this move today, really the only area where I see a sip now, there's four highs here, 112, but that's awful close to where you're trading. If you want, I'll give you two targets on the upside if this gets going. 116.60 and 117.78. But the way the chart are now, like yesterday was a whole different story. If I could cover this up, I'd say, hey, yeah, wow, this might have a breakout on its hands. Look at all the time it bunched up at 102. But now that you've already had the breakout, a lot of good news is priced into these earnings. Let's see if they can deliver. Apple,
Apple's another one that I'm just like, man, that we've heard so much negative throughout the quarter about the iPhones. Will we somehow hear a positive? That's what I'm worried about, because that will really wreck the Bears if there's a positive there on the iPhones.
yeah, if they guide higher, then good enough. I mean, they always beat. I mean,
they always kill it.
They always kill. Show the pro. Show
Yeah.
the pro. Show the pro for the revenues and the EPS going back for like 87 years in this stock. Go ahead, show it, Mitch. Show it.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to do sometimes, right? Like we start thinking like, oh, is a company going to fail or not, right? Is it going to meet the expectations or not? But if you look at the history will tell you a lot of the times. Look at this team. If you look here, you'll see the green and the green, right? There's only one red that I see, and that was back on, I'll tell you that right now, that was on 2021 in October. But if you see here, majority just green. I think there's about 5 reds out of like probably 60 reports here. And so that tells me a lot. They beat, and they beat often. So who knows? I know that one thing that I can clearly say is that every time we get into these earnings seasons, we have been truly negative about the earnings coming up. And every single time we see the earnings still like kind of beat it, right? It's because they lowered the expectations a lot of the times, right? And this helps them. If they lower the expectations, are able to just beat on one side, like in Meta's case, I think you could clearly see that they were going in a different approach there with their ads, lowering the price, but still keeping the impressions high, hitting the revenue. I think that that's what a lot of companies are trying to do right now. They're trying to figure out ways to still hit revenue, even if they got to crunch their margins a little bit, because they see the brighter side on the other side, right? The grass is always greener. Well, there you guys have it. Even I'm starting to see the grass on the other side.
All right, for Apple trading at 150.22, up almost $5 here. After the kind of move that you have, I do have a potential area to keep an eye on here on an initial pop. And that would be 158.40. That splits the highs from September 20 and September 21. If they take it out to the woodshed, easily we'll see a gap fill here in 146.61. The easy, and then after that, your 2 day low is 142.28. But like, just looking at this chart and I mean, what would just wreck these charts? A gap down. Then you would just be in the middle of nowhere. But and the Bulls looking for the gap ups, the Bears looking for the gaps down. We'll see big days in these stocks ahead of the report. I mean, Meta, I don't know if Meta did them a favor or not, but S&P's perking up here, that little buying balance in the close, inching our way back up. We're gonna have a new closing high for the rebound here, 41.40, no 41.32 and a quarter. Yeah, that was the close from yesterday. You never even had a shot at that in the pre-market after the Meta earnings. So you're going to make a new closing high for the rebound by 50 points. Ultra impressive, and you made a new high by over 40 handles. Wednesday's high was 43 and a quarter. All right, a few minutes left here, Mitch. Do we have any other secondary earnings that we want to cover for after the close?
There is so much, team. We'll see what happens. There's also like Starbucks that has been, I think,
Let's
a new
see.
52-week high on Starbucks there. Qualcomm's been strong. We'll see if Gilead can somehow bounce back some of the health.
I'd be careful on this Gilead. On the Gilead, Qualcomm, nice rally back. Gilead, it has pulled back, but man, look what they did to Lilly today. They took Lilly out to the woodshed. Very unusual move for Gilead to do what it did. They gap up since November. Very rare move. I'd be careful on this one. You said Gilead, Starbucks. I mean, people are still paying $5 for coffee when all you can do is ask for a double shot of espresso. And then you say, "Oh, could you put a little coffee in there?" And it costs you like Well, I haven't done it in a while. So back then it used to be like $2.50. If you go to Panera, you can ask for the double shot of espresso, then you can just kind of put the coffee in yourself when they're not looking. But let's see. For Starbucks, you do have a level ahead of the report. 110.78, 110.83. That's a pair of highs. The closing high for the rebound was actually made yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. That was 109.99. Sorry, that's Tim Cook giving me a call right here.
Got your own pal. He can wait.
Pumping Paul. Hey, how'd you guys like Jeremy Siegel today? Was that fun or what?
Hell yeah. I know I enjoyed it. I mean, we had the professor in. You know it was fun. Definitely. Did you see though today, Joel? All you got to do to get Rocket going is you got to get the whole market going.
Rocket,
Rocket, baby!
Wow, that makes a lot of people in the Motor City happy. Wow, what a move! Do they have any earnings, or it's just kind of just going with the market, huh? Just going with the market.
It's just going with the market, just like the others. Redfin also ripping, but Rocket's the one I wanted to focus on because this is a forgotten stock almost, I think.
Yeah, look at the January effect in this one. Holy man, they couldn't get it out of their portfolio fast enough in December, and then they just couldn't. Look at that head and shoulders bottom. Not much on here to look at, folks. I'll just say there's a pair of highs in the $11 handle if you're looking for more follow through. 11.31, and that's it. 11.31, 11.17 as the rally continues. The Bulls, they can't get enough. They're snorting. Their paws in the ground. They are now waiting for the earnings. I'm going to sign off here. Maybe that closing print around 41.91. And let's see if Meta did investors a favor, giving us a lean into some big earnings reports. I know Apple is a little bit later. I'm not sure what time Google comes out, but folks, I can't wait for tomorrow. Should be a good one. Thanks, Mitch. Great job as usual.
Oh, it's going to be a fun one, team. Stick around if you guys want to catch some earnings action. We got some earnings calls coming up. That's going to be, of course, we got Google first and then Apple going on pretty much at the same time. And then I will be doing also Amazon. So stick around. I'm seeing Google first reaction is up, but that's always the first reaction. You never know where it ends up. We'll find out tomorrow. Will we be past the 420? Who knows? We could be through. Let's find out, team. Like always, nobody knows. Make your own decision. Focus on what's important to you. Always keep the risk assessment on. We'll see you next time, team.